Little bonus fish, this one.
No point looking, is it? Like that.
Good morning, hello again. So we're back with the JMAC squad today. Our second match of the season. We're at Portland Lakes at Flinton and we're on Canal Lake. Quite an easterly breeze, it's just biting. It's actually blowing a bit of a hoolie. So it's pretty cold, but it's 10 degrees overnight, so it's been no frost. The fish might feed, but all the talk is this morning that you need to be in peg 1 and 30. So it's the way the wind's been blowing all week, and last week's match was one off peg 30 with over £100. So I drew peg 28. But there's nobody in 29 over my shoulder, and you can see in the corner on set Paul Skeldon has drawn peg 30, so he's hot favourite. I think Smed's on peg 1, and the way the wind blows it's blown into those two pegs, so they look most promising. But I have set up 4 rigs. We'll have a quick look at them. I've got a margin to my right just here, which I'm going to fish because I've got the wind blowing to my left, and so there's nobody on peg 29. So that's going to be my main focus, certainly for the second part of the match, I think. So the first rig I've set up a pellet rig, 0.4 gram, and that is around about 3 foot deep, and I can fish that middle track to my left, just where the wind's blowing in. That's got a 16 hook on it for an expander pellet, or a couple of maggots. The next rig I've set up is copper paste float, and that's again to 3 foot deep for middle track. Can't really go right across, got some roots in the peg right opposite, so it's tough to fish, and it's incredibly windy to fish at 15 metres, that's here. So I've got a 3 foot rig set up for paste with a 12 hook on. These other 2 rigs are pretty similar. One's a shallow dibber, set up at dead depth in the margin with a banded pellet on it. That's a wire stem. I can just quickly change that to fish maggot on if needs be. That's about 2.5 foot deep. All these rigs are on £5 line. And then my last rig I've set up, which is my main margin line rig, is banded pellet, 6-inch trace, bulk shot, 2.5 foot deep, with translucent dibber, but it's got a longer stem on it, and that's going to be sunk under a little bit just to help with the presentation. Then I've got a back shot up the line. So there's my 4 rigs. I've set a little method feeder up to explore the far bank where I can't actually fish with a pole, and a bomb rod as well. So if any fish move down into peg 29 or pole starts catching, I can explore that peg to my left, the empty peg 29, up to the point of the platform. So hopefully we get a few fish. Looking forward to it. I might have to put a big thick coat on. Speak to you in a bit. Good start from Roger. Pull it quite firm, just want to go under the roots. That's a nice start, it's a lovely comment. Roger had one first. I think he's on the pace line. And Brian Cookson got one on, and I got one on. All three of us got one very quickly from the start. I wasn't expecting that, 'cause we've not really seen any fish move. So I'm just fishing the method feeder slightly to my left, about halfway between myself and Peg 29. Some bushes in the water, so I'm fishing towards them. I'll find a few pellets in. Yeah. Well, they've cut the banks out, but they haven't actually cleared out what's underneath. Yeah. Good torpedo, this one. Oh, lost another one. Oh, throwing them back. Right, we'll try and get this one in. We're 40 minutes in, got one, lost three. Little mirror. Little 3-pounder. So I've stepped up. I've got 9-pound trace on with a wide gate 14 on. So when I get a bite, I'm holding it so it can't go into the brambles. And as soon as I've got away from it, then I can play it properly. Strong fighting fish in here. And the common, quite a bronzy coloured common, that one. Time check. 10 to 11. I've been trickling feed into my on my pace line. Just firing a few pellets in. And my margin through. I've been doing that from the start. I have potted in a bit of paste and pellet on both those lines. Some maggot also in the margin, right at the start. All right. Feels like a nice fish. In this wind. Yeah. Others are coming. 4 pound. Little one. The mirror. Let's look down the margin. Hour and a half in, 7 carp for 23 pounds. Paul on peg 30 now. There's 3, I think, down his margin to his left. All in the last half an hour. I don't think he had anything in the first hour. The feeder line's gone. It's gone a little bit slower, so I'm just going to rest it for a bit. We're feeding this margin line for an hour and a half now. If I don't see any bites on this, and then I'll try my pace line, which is the middle tracker to the left. They do seem to be coming to the pellet quite comfortably on the feeder line, so I'm just feeding the margins in the same pellets. I've gone out with a formula banded pellet at the moment. Find one down the edge, Rog. Yeah. Right, it's just gone 12 o'clock. So I've got 7 or 8 carp for about 25, 26 pounds. So the first 2 hours not too bad. Lost a few as well. I've only had 1 on the pole lines. almost impossible to fish pace where I was fishing. Oh, got pull round. So I'm going to drop back onto this. So rested it for a while. Hopefully they'll come back and settle on it again. Wind's just got stronger and stronger at the moment though. It's only a little one, pound, maybe a bit more, pound and a half. So it's going okay. Yeah, so it's going okay. First 2 hours, not too bad. Lost a few, but picking the odd fish up. Roger's had a few to my right. Brian Cox has had a few, a couple of big ones down the edge. Skelly's been catching to my left. He's been catching, I think he's had 5 or 6 now, including a couple of one he said it might even be 12 pound. So he's doing all right. But it's so difficult to present the pole lines in a minute. It's just, perhaps you need a heavier rig on and even layer on a little bit, which I don't like doing unless I really have to. Incredibly blustery. So Roger's gone down the edge. That fought like a trooper. It's a big fish, but what a scrap. This is just a bomb rod with a 6mm pellet on. This middle of the track to my left, almost on my pace line really. This is back on the bomb again. Middle track. Not getting big fish, but I can get them frequently. Nice misery. Get frequently like that. Happy days. So I picked up 2 fish on the bomb rod. just middle track, firing a few pellets in at the top, let it settle. But when I fed with a pole cup earlier on the baseline, bubbles were coming up pretty quick. But again, fast bites, changed the maggot and the rud. So again, bits of rud and that on there. And the same in the margins, getting a few little bites, but there were little fish, apart from that one carp got in. Not back to Roger now. You're just a big fish, Rog. That's a better fish. That's what I've been looking for. Oh yeah, biggest fish of the day. Not a monster. £5. That's 6 actually. That's coming. Right, so it's 1 o'clock. When I click it, it's now showing £47. So I just had 2 nice fish, about £4 or £5 each. So I've rechanged the setup, so I've put a thicker top on it to stop it waving around so much. And back on the method feeder with mycos and a wafter. But I'm in the middle of the track, not going across there now, unless I really have to. There's just so many snags on that far bank. It's cost me a couple of feeders and 4 or 5 lost fish, which gone round roots and brambles hanging in the water. That's clearing out across there. Yeah, so good first half of the match. Only £47-ish in the net, but lost a few fish. There's quite a few fish being caught. Skelly's catching well to my left. He's got one on there. Just pan round and you can see him. He's playing one now. He's catching in his margins for the wind blowing in it. So he's going to take some beating today. Roger's had a few nice fish next to me. He's had a couple of nice pace fish recently as well. Brian on 26. 2 pegs up, he's had a good few fish. Oh. Why haven't the clutch set? That wind now is unbelievable. Must be 40-50 mile an hour at the moment in this wind tunnel. Another nice fish. These are the ones we want. It's hard going into it, this wind. It's hard going fishing into wind at the minute. Yeah. Right, so it carries on to the second part of the match. Lost my top kit. See that top kit nearly went in then? Yeah, I managed to scoop it back out with a landing net with one hand while I'm doing this. Very lucky. Right, 2 o'clock. I'm showing 60 on my clicker. So it's been a slow hour, that one. 3 little fish. But they've all come from the middle of the track to my left. So I've been fishing feeder or bomb on 3 different lines. One of my margins to my left, but 2 metres away from the bank. One middle track, and then one not quite in front because I can't fish in that gap because it's just full of snags. So I'm going to feed. I'm going to put a pot full of corn and pellet and dead reds in my margins to my left down here. See if anything comes to it. Start fishing over it. That's the plan for the last 2 hours anyway. I'm still floating pellets into these 3 lines. There's 4s and 6s. Just floating a few. Let me see. Right, so I'm on the margins with got a bunch of 4 maggots on a 14. I fed her half a pot of corn, dead reds, pellet, about 10 minutes ago. I'm hoping 4 maggots puts off a little fish, and a honey monster slurps it in. Lots of them little rudd in here, so try to avoid them with a bunch of maggots, but don't mean they won't ever pull at it.
You can't camera all the way when that were on.
Gudgeon. No. What, a gudgeon? Let's put him back. If I lose by half ounce now, you can say, well, we saw him catch one and put it back.
We'll let you win.
Yeah. Try that again. With 2 grains of corn. I've fished with it. Put a heavier float on.
2 grains of corn.
Eh?
Did you get it on 2 grains of corn?
No, I got that on 4 maggots. I'm going back in with 2 grains of corn now though. Because that's obviously what's going to attract the carp. Come on carp, where are you? Just a small double.
No deer.
Oh, that's a nice fish. Little bonus fish, this one. Not monster, but kids fear what we have been catching. Very welcome. Probably £4. Need some of them honey monsters to come in. It's very quiet at the minute, there's not many fish being caught. So I've just lost a good fish on double corn down this edge. It went straight across the other side and went behind this snag with 2 grains of corn. Quite often can sort out the carp. I have to have a word with the owners, see if they can clear out all these snags out of this peg. Right, it's 3 o'clock. It's but 1 hour left. I'm very quiet the last hour or two. Roger's had a few to my right in the margins on corn. I've had a couple of small fish. And then I've lost that big fish in the margins on corn. I've refed 2 lines in the margins. I'll just drop back on the feeder and pick 1 little fish up. Like that, feed settler. Need a few fish in this last hour then. Seen 1 or 2 fish top on my feeder line, middle track, so dropped on that, picked that 1 fish up, another go at it. So let's swim, let the margin swim settle for 10 minutes and go back on it. So I've put another half, 3/4 pot of corn, micros and dead reds on the long margin line. When you're feeding the short margin line by hand at the moment, just a few grains of corn in it. I've missed 1 bite on it. Oh, found one. It's heading towards that snag on the far bank. So I lost that one earlier. Lost it. Right, that's half an hour. I had nothing from 3:30 till, well, from 3 till past. But losing 1 fish. Found one. Hey? Yeah, well, we'll see. Yeah. No. A quick time check. 20 minutes left. Come on, fishy. There'll be a couple of big lumps from down this edge to finish with. I've potted in another half a pot of micros and corn on the long line again. Let's go over it now and see if there's anything settled on it. Oh, I missed a bite. Don't like missing bites this time of day. 20 minutes to go. Especially down the edge. There could be right horny monsters. Getting bites, but are they just small fish pulling at it? We'll know if I hate one. I'm fishing a bulk shot about six inches from the hook. 2 grains of corn to try and anchor it on a 14. Just need to connect properly with a honey monster. We found one. Well, it's not a honey monster, but it's a fish. Even got the 2 grains of corn back. Waste not, want not. Try again. Find another one on corn. Oh, they're 3:45. They always come on feed here at 3:45. Sneak up on him. Mirror carp. Chill out. Fish not on. Well, it's been a good match. Good first half of the match. Struggled second half of the match. That wind has been howling. Anyway, let's get packed up and we'll see who's won.
Wait till I get the new figure and Sally's gone. Well, we've all got 60 right Dave. Nobody's keeping the weight, Dave. Yeah. I hope you're weighing exactly 6 feet, don't you?
They caught to your right, Sean.
38.30.
Caught to your right, then.
Them 2 gaps over there. That's a video, right? Even being stuck there. Oh, foul you are. Hold on, Nobby. Hold on, Nobby. Hold on, Nobby. They took them goldfish. 23.2.
Day after they cut the tree down, it walked.
Yeah, so they weigh me in.
That's what I should have done, Bill.
That's gardening.
25.10.
It's late now. It takes him longer to do it.
Last week was perfect on, didn't it? No Woody, no Lambo, no base on the scale.
36.4. Has he done Nobby? What a jack out. A little late, you should check your nets.
That's at least £8.
If you wanted 4 hands,
Bring it out. 36.11. Sorry, Pete.
Done me by £1.
63.65. 67.
oh, easy.
We caught him, Kev.
Everywhere.
That's it. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. Brown is back. Yes. 40 odd. On this one, I think. We had them up it.
Put down the middle track post on it.
Oh, yeah? 42.9. Middle track.
No, Kevin.
Well, base.
Kevin. Get anything on base
Got
again.
50. Got
I have to
50.
start first time.
Good split, mate. Another 50. Here we have Kevin Brown weighing his second net. 29.7. Well done, Mr. Brown. Looking promising, isn't it?
No, it's not looking.
The size of that.
The size of that fish. You want a photo of that, Paul?
That, yeah, possible.
No, you didn't take one of mine.
Is his name Paul?
The 3, I'm saying, too much.
53.14. Well done, Paul. Well done, Skelly.
Paul, do you want a picture with this fish or not?
No, you're right.
So on to results then from yesterday's match at Portland Canal. I mean, it was blowing an absolute hooler. It really, if you managed to watch the footage, it was absolutely freezing. That easterly breeze blowing across from Norway, I think it was. It was bitterly cold. And the wind got stronger throughout the day, so it was tough. And the rigs are set up in the morning. I was struggling to fish with them by lunchtime. I ended up setting a heavier rig up to fish in the margins later on. But anyway, onto the sections and that. So, I mean, we had £696 of fish with 19 anglers, so it was an average of £36. It's not too bad for April, but it's nowhere near the potential of that fishery. We've had much better matches than that on there. But considering the easterly breeze, difficult to fish. You couldn't get across really with your pole. It was so difficult. And it does appear there's quite a lot of snags and roots on the far bank. There certainly was in my peg. It was very difficult to fish, even without the wind. I mean, I plumbed across and the peg's just full of roots. You just couldn't lay a rig in. And I tried to keep away from it with my feeder lines and stay shorter. But I lost a couple of rigs and feeders in there. Just where the fish had zoomed off and pulled the rod right round, and it went round whatever it was. And when I got the line back, it was all serrated, the line was. I wish it had gone round the actual route and come out the other side. So that certainly Canal Pool needs a bit of work on the far banks and the pegs, and just clearing them all out to make it a bit more fishing friendly. Alright, then onto the sections then. So the first section winner was Phil Smedley from peg 1 with 4 to 6.13. It was on a favourite peg, and he made the most of it on the day, even in the strong wind conditions. Second section went to peg 14, Sean Hanrahan with £38.13. Dave Sewell, peg 17, had the third section with 36.7, and then Brian Cox on peg 26 had 36.11. So well done to the section winners for sticking it out, persevering. Well done to all anglers for persevering yesterday in that wind. It was tough going. On to third place then, and that went to Paul Skeldon and peg 30, one of the hot pegs. But he had a slow start. The fish didn't seem to be there in the first hour or so, and he was struggling to get bites, but he ended up with £53.14 and at third place. Well done, Paul. Second then went for a shootout between myself and Roger Summerscales, and second went to Roger Summerscales. So Roger from peg 27 into £67. He started like a train, had a big fish on pace straight away, which I think I managed to get footage of, and I think we were toe to toe right throughout. But I ended up with a victory from peg 28 with £72. So I only beat him by £5. So it was tough going, and at that time we didn't know who'd won. We couldn't really see many anglers, so we thought we'd had an okay day. But it wasn't until we did the weighing and went round the anglers that we realised how hard it had actually fished and how difficult it was to fish in that wind in the other pegs around the lake as well. So my match was unusual. I had a good start. I had first fish in that second put in, but then I lost 3 fish on the bounce. Then I lost a feeder that went around the roots as well. It was a tough peg to fish, and presenting a bait with my rigs I'd set up was tough. So I ended up swapping to a heavier rig for late on. But I had 3 fish in the margins to my left on corn in the last half an hour, and that was the difference between the two of us, really. So it was a good match between the top few where the fish were, and then it was a tight match between the rest. So all in all, enjoyable day. Windy, freezing. One for the memory bank. Hope we don't get many matches like that this year. Very tough, but very, very pleased to come away with a victory yesterday. That was absolutely awesome. But yeah, Portland's good venue, great venue. Needs a bit to work on them far banks. It's the place itself is full of fish, and it's a lovely place to go fishing. So if you're in Nottinghamshire and you've never fished it before, get down there and give it a go. So there's plenty of choice, plenty of lakes, and the Kingfisher Lodge Cafe is fantastic. Does a superb breakfast. Next week then, I think we're on to Farm Park next week for our first match on Farm Park this season, so I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully the wind eases off throughout the week and we don't get blown off our boxes. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please click the like and subscribe. Bye for now. Found one.